This is At Face Value.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're in episode 16 of At Face Value. I'm Brian,
I'm Lucas.
and we are so excited to have you back. We apologize firsthand for a little bit of technical difficulty last week. Hopefully that comes back better this week. But no, man, another great weekend of football. A lot of disappointed fans out there, obviously, that follow us, and also on the other side, a lot of excited fans, I'm sure, because I know we have a lot of Aggie followers on our podcast. So, I don't know, man. It was a good weekend, though.
It was a great weekend of football again, man. Big matchups, good wins for some teams. Obviously, disappointing wins for others, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But again, it's one game. You can't look too deep into one game, especially whenever they're two heavyweight matchups. You know what I mean? So we'll get into all that stuff here later on in the podcast. But overall, yeah, it was a good weekend of sports. Yeah, I had a good time watching for sure on Saturday.
Yeah, man, it was good. And man, just a kind of a side note before we get rolling really into everything else. So one thing we hadn't really talked about over the last couple of weeks. I know you don't follow NFL a lot, but Tom Brady, he officially signed on to have a minority stake. But have you seen like
It was the Raiders, right?
Yeah, with the Raiders, with Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Have you seen his restrictions though?
Nah.
So one of the biggest things, and you know, like when you're a broadcaster, one of the biggest things that you have to do is you have to be able to research. And a lot of times these people, like, they go watch practice, like they go to practice one day a week, they go interview a bunch of players, like they go like talk to the coaches, they kind of see how things are going throughout the week, and that's kind of like builds like, and that like makes like their commentary better
For
like
sure.
in games. But dude, he has this huge list of restrictions now.
That he can't go to practice. That makes sense.
So, dude, listen to this. So, he's not permitted in another team's facility. He's not permitted to witness practice. He's not permitted to attend broadcast production meetings in person or virtually. He's prohibited from publicly criticizing game officials and other teams. And he's subject to the league's gambling policy, their anti-tampering policies, which limits him to strictly social communication with members of other clubs.
Wow. And that makes sense too. And I don't know, as a broadcaster, I feel like it's going to be hard for him to like, obviously you want to be like as objective as possible whenever you're commentating, right? But I mean, if I'm a part owner in the Raiders, I'm going to want them to win.
Yeah, but also now, like I said, like especially when you're a color commentary guy, like you have to be able to be like, hey, you know, I watched practice this week. Like it really seemed like, you know, they had things going right, and like now, like he has nothing.
Yeah.
And especially being like a first year guy,
That's tough.
that like he's already learning how to do everything, and now all of a sudden you're being told like, okay, you can't do any of these things now. He can't even be in Fox production meetings like to
Yeah,
prepare
that's-
himself for it. So pretty much, dude, like he's gonna show up on Sunday almost blind.
Yeah, but that probably helps for him to go into that. But I feel like too, like just the reading of the game while the game's going on, I'm sure he'll still do fine. Obviously, like seeing the nuances of the game and like seeing coverages and that kind of thing, like live.
Oh, for sure.
That's kind of going to be his thing. But that is crazy. I mean, great business decision.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like that's never going to lose money.
Well, and he just lost a lot of money getting that divorce with Giselle. Cause
Yeah, he did.
She was making like 5 times as much as he was, or something.
That's
every
insanity.
year. Like,
That's insanity.
and dude, that's the crazy part, because like nobody ever really talked about that. They did a little bit, but it was never like a big spotlight. Is like Tom Brady never asked for like a max contract.
Yeah.
And like he never had to. Like,
Yeah.
dude, he was always gonna have just like stupid money forever.
Yeah.
But helps to marry a model, so.
Yeah, but he got the stake in the team after the divorce. So
That's what I'm saying.
So that's good
like,
for him.
So he's recouping his money pretty
Yeah.
much. So
that's like the whole Eric Spoelstra thing. You see that
no.
with the Miami Heat? Like the Miami Heat, like they literally like gave him a huge contract extension, but they waited for his divorce to be finalized before they gave him the extension.
Oh, dude, I do remember
Dude, that's
that.
that's such
That's a baller move,
That's a
dude, like-
huge baller move. They're like, yeah, man, we got this on the table, but we're gonna wait till your papers finalized before we
Yeah, we
like
got
actually
you.
like
Don't
make
worry
it
about
legal.
it. That's funny. Dude.
Crazy, but
Hey, that's nice for the organization to
oh,
help you out. Like
absolutely,
that, though. Like-
absolutely. Like, dude, if you sign this paper today, you're getting half.
Dude, do you know speaking of Eric Spoelstra, do you know the whole story of that dude? Like, he was like a video guy.
I was
for
gonna
the
say,
Miami Heat.
no, I didn't know that, but he looks like he's like a freaking accountant.
Yeah, dude. Like, he literally was just like he was like part of the video production team, whatever, for the Miami Heat.
Wow,
And like he just slowly like worked his way up, and
that's impressive.
he was a guy I actually thought that he wasn't a great coach, that he just had like that super team. But dude, like even after LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, even after those dudes left, like the Heat are still competitive
Yeah.
almost every year. Like it's kind of crazy. So, I mean, I know we don't watch like a ton of NBA
Nah.
or whatever, but it's still something I've always noticed. Like the Heat
Yeah.
are always up there, which they're
For
actually
sure.
pretty good now again. But
Yeah.
which speaking of, dude, the NBA season starting on Tuesday already. So
Yep, that's coming up pretty quick,
Did you
man.
get your free lineup in?
Not yet. I'm still gonna do some research, but
I got mine in. I did a lot of. I use StatMuse.
yeah,
It just does like it like gives you like the career stats or career averages like over every player's whole career. And so I used a lot of that. So like when I put my six team together, because dude, if you hit all six, you can win $500.
yeah, it's pretty great.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Especially when it's free. Like you're not
100%.
putting any money into it.
Yeah.
So it'd be pretty nice though. But
Yeah, but we'll touch on a little bit of baseball too here in a second. But we have a little bit of an update for the standings that we'll go over real quick,
Yeah,
just for the
heck yeah, dude.
pick'ems. So we have a 4-way tie for first place right now. So
Yeah, man.
things are heating up, and it's everybody's staying really close. There's a lot of people jumbled up at the top. We have 3 or 4 people with 24 wins. Cody G, Brian over here, Travis S, and Nathan B are all 24 wins. And then myself, Kevin G, and Kyle. Oh, myself and Kevin G are at 23 wins, and then Kyle G is at 22 wins.
Right there.
Dennis is still at 2-8. I don't know. His picks must have got lost somewhere. So he's still in dead last. So
Sorry,
he's
Dennis.
going to
I
have
don't
to
know what
figure
it
that
is.
out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on with Dennis, but he's still sitting at 2-8. So
God, dude.
he's got to figure it out, or he's going to get that punishment.
I can hear the tears.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he should throw some bottles on the field so
That's
we
right,
can
dude.
overturn it or something.
That's right. That way we can have further discussion of the picks. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's so things are coming down the wire. So keep getting those picks in. We're about halfway, and we'll kind of do some midseason regrets later on once we touch on some college football, kind of where we picked and some regrets that we might have on some of the picks that we had. But yeah, it's been fun, and then we have our first subscriber, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's actually my mother-in-law, Cian. She actually
Dude.
subscribed. And not that we're asking for anybody to do
No.
it, but we definitely do appreciate that.
Get a shout out for sure.
Yeah,
That's
definitely get a shout out. And
that's awesome.
maybe we can get some memorabilia together one of these days, and we'll start sending stuff.
My
out like
hat,
that.
some
So,
shirts, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So no, we definitely appreciate that because I mean anything helps, and like I said, we never asked for it, but we definitely appreciate it anytime you do that.
Absolutely.
So, if you are feeling a wild hair and you're like, these guys are doing pretty great, I'd love to subscribe to them. There's a link on every podcast. You just click in there. You can do $3 a month. Again, I really don't care if you do or not.
Yeah.
But
It was just cool to see.
yeah, but
That's
we
like
do
awesome.
appreciate
That's
that somebody did do that. So
yeah,
it
it's
is
really
pretty
cool to see,
so,
man. We really really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for that. So
Baseball.
Yeah, man, let's get into some baseball, dude.
Let's not.
Let's keep it short because
Yes, God.
this is honestly
Nightmare scenario.
Yeah, dude. Like this is what we talked about at the beginning of the playoffs. That this is literally like worst case scenario.
And I've
it's
slept
now
on it.
coming into fruition.
I've slept on it. Thought about it in the shower. It hasn't completely happened yet, but I mean, I think they're playing right now.
It's 6-1
and
right now.
It's 6-3.
Oh,
And the Mets have the bases loaded right now with 2 outs. But
oh,
if it is nightmare scenario, Yankees Dodgers, I'm gonna be a Dodger.
yeah.
I cannot. I just cannot see Yankees fans happy. That's just like that's not okay. And so if they get there and hopefully they get swept. If they get there and just absolutely crap the bed, that would be amazing.
But like what's crazy, dude, is so my grandpa, he's a big Dodgers fan. maybe not like a big Dodgers fan, but he's a Dodgers fan.
Yeah.
And dude, he told me that the Dodgers have used 40 different pitchers this season. Like,
That's crazy.
And they're not even fully healthy now.
Yeah.
Like Flaherty, I think is like the only one that's been like consistently healthy this season.
That's insane.
So the fact that the Dodgers are like still playing well, like,
I mean, I saw a stat. Obviously, the last few games I haven't kept up with it, but I saw a stat in the playoffs. I think Ohtani was like 15 for 17 with runners in scoring position.
yeah, like
15 for 17.
yeah, dude, he's not Aaron Judge for
No,
sure.
oh
So-
my God, that's unbelievable production.
Well, dude, I'll tell you this too. Like speaking of Aaron Judge, like on the Yankees side, like, dude, like even though he's not playing well, like, well, Juan Soto is playing really well.
Oh yeah,
So that's been big. And then, dude, like the unexpected one for me is Giancarlo Stanton.
yeah,
He has like 4 or 5 postseason home runs now. Like
Yeah.
he's had some big ones. Like he had the big one in Game 5
yeah. To tie it.
that put him into the World Series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Before that,
or was it Soto? No, Soto had the 3-run bomb.
yeah,
that put
Soto
him-
had the one in over
that
there
gave
in
him,
extra innings.
gave him the lead. So
Yeah.
those two. But then they have also just been getting a lot of other production like Verdugo and guys like that that have been stepping up and
Yeah.
getting the big hits. So
I did see a clip where that Noel dude freaking I think it was late again. It was like the 9th inning, and there was 2 runners on, and the cameraman just got everybody, man, and the announcer was like screaming like it was another 3-run bomb to take the lead or to win the game in the 9th, and it was a fly out right on the warning track. Dude, it was crazy, and yeah, that's brutal to watch and he pimped it too. Like you
he
could tell.
really?
Oh, he didn't throw his bat or anything, but you could tell he thought he got
He
it.
thought for sure,
Oh yeah,
like-
and it just was off the end of the bat, barely. He
God,
missed it
dude.
by an inch.
that totally changes everything.
Oh yeah, yeah, and so yeah,
It is
so
what it is, yeah.
nightmare scenario. We won't talk about it too much more.
Dude,
But yeah,
no way.
yeah, there it goes.
Well, there goes ours, but no, dude. I mean, I will say like the Yankees are playing way better than I thought they would. Like their pitching. I mean, honestly, like their pitching hasn't been great. Like it's been a lot of like high scoring games. Honestly, like both championship series have both been like super high scoring. It
Yeah,
seems like.
the
So,
Mets put up 12
Yeah.
last game against the Dodgers, and I mean they were threatening a while ago. I don't know what ended up happening.
6-3. Like
They didn't get
and
anything.
So the Dodgers get out of it, but it's just a lot of runs scored, dude. So
Which makes it exciting.
oh yeah, well if you're a fan.
Well, yeah, I don't really care, but if you're watching it,
Yeah, but so we'll see. So I mean, but it's looking most likely like it's going to be the Dodgers and Yankees. So which is what the baseball writers want. I mean, that's what your
Media,
West Coast
everybody.
and that's what your media wants. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
but more importantly, dude, we had a great weekend of college football.
yes, we did.
So I don't know. You want to start it all?
Which game? What we starting with,
Well,
dude?
man, let's start off. So, well, we had games all throughout the week from Tuesday all the way. Which, dude, we're in the best time of the season now. I do.
Football every
we
day.
we have games every single day of the week. But just starting on Friday. So Oregon they play Purdue, so they'll be number 1. I haven't checked. Has the AP poll come out?
Yeah, it came out. They're number 1.
So they're number 1. I mean, they took care of business, and then dude, BYU. Coming back from the depths, like, dude, I thought that Oklahoma State at one point was actually going to blow them out, and then BYU comes back and they're able to score late and stay undefeated. So,
The one time I took Ollie Gordon's under, he goes off.
yeah, dude, that figures.
Like literally, he hasn't hit. Like the over under was like 61 yards,
Yes,
and
dude.
I was like, he's hit that once this year, and then he goes for a hundo.
He goes for 100. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But, so that was a big one, and then you know Miami, like they get into a high scoring affair with Louisville.
Oh yeah,
Which again, like
that seems to be the case with them, man.
Like they
every
score
week.
they score a ton of points, but they also give up a ton of points. But yeah, they just find a way to win every single week,
And something has to be said about that, like finding a way to win, like getting it done when it like crunch time.
yeah, I mean that's
Obviously, they had some breaks go their way with a few of the games for sure. There's no question, but there's something to be said, like down 20, figuring out a way to come back.
oh for
Like,
sure.
and again, they're just figuring it out and finding ways to do, and that's a sign of a good team.
And honestly, even like in Louisville's not a bad team.
No.
I mean they were 4-2 coming in, and they were playing pretty well. And it's in Louisville, so I mean that's a tough game to go in there and win that one. So that I think that is a good win for them.
Yeah.
Clemson, they started off slow against Virginia. Looked like they might struggle. They end up coming back. They end up winning by 17 points, so they end up winning that one comfortably.
And Virginia's defensively, they're very good.
Yeah.
And that's I went Klubnik under yards. He went over.
He went over. So.
But overall, Virginia's defense is a solid defensive club.
For sure.
And so...
And dude, like the biggest storyline, one of the biggest storylines I would say this weekend is Indiana, man. Like,
yeah, man.
So obviously I picked Nebraska in the pick'ems.
Yeah. A lot of people did.
And just because I thought Nebraska was still really good, and then man, like Indiana just absolutely manhandled them from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy. They went back to what the head coach said before the season. He was like, he said, "I'm not a loser. I'm a winner."
Yeah.
And dude, like he is undefeated Indiana right now. Like dude, absolutely rolling.
And then they said something like, he's like in the media, like after the game was over against Nebraska, he's like, "I don't care. We're getting on the bus and going back home." Like he's just like, get this business done and get out of there.
Yeah,
and I mean,
got to do.
I mean, again, they're a veteran football team that needs to be said, right? In some of these sports, like especially in college football, when you have 18 to 21-year-olds, I say that all the time, but if you have the latter end, the 21, 22-year-olds, they've been there, done that. They're more mature. You see it all the time in basketball, like those fifth-year senior glue guys who literally just know how to run an offense. You see it in baseball where there's the seniors, fifth-year guys who have been there and grind at bats. Like that. All college athletics, like that matters. Like being there, doing that, like having that experience, it's huge.
And honestly, I never really thought about it a whole lot until it was John Calipari. He said it one year when he was at Kentucky.
He's at Arkansas now. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but
dude,
go ahead.
I'm surprised you didn't know that, but yeah. But that's what he said. He was like, it's very hard to win year after year when you constantly your best players are there for 1 year and they leave.
And
like
they're
so
18.
That's one thing I never really realized. Yeah, so you have 17, 18, maybe 19-year-olds coming in, playing 1 year, and then they're going to the NBA. And so, so the fact that that these teams that are able to win year after year, and with those guys, but a lot of those ones that do win are usually the ones that, like you said, they have those veterans. So like you have like your star players that come in year out, but you also have some of those guys that stay longer.
Yeah,
2-3 years. It's like Indiana, like. They're not going to have like these just superstar athletes that are just going to like bail as soon as they want. Like they're going to stay a little bit longer. BYU, kind of like what you've been saying throughout the year, like those guys that just stay for a little bit longer.
And going back to the baseball side of it for college, like you're seeing that more now as well, where these kids out of high school who get drafted by these Major League Baseball teams, they throw out a huge number. If they're not meeting that number, they'll go to college, develop, and then they'll get drafted higher. And typically they'll get drafted higher if they produce in college, and they get crazy experience, especially in these SEC matchups where you're facing high level arms. You're facing, if you're a pitcher, you're facing great lineups. And I mean, just look at like some of these guys that are coming up, and these SEC guys, they're literally jumping through single A, double A, triple A, and going to the lead or going to the show quickly, right? Skeens, Cruz, Wyatt Langford, from Florida, all these guys, like college baseball is almost like a triple A, or not as good as triple A, but it's like a developmental league where these guys are. And when you're in college, you're living, breathing baseball year round. You're literally at the facilities. You have all these like metrics and bullpens that are showing spin rate and all these crazy statistics. So they're in there like in the lab working on their stuff all year round. So like college is kind of like that. And I feel like with football, it's kind of the same way. Like these guys are learning how to review film, kind of go over everything while they're in college and getting a college experience at the same time. And now with the NIL, they're making money on top of it. So
for sure,
a lot of times I wouldn't be surprised if some of these kids, they talk to scouts and those types of things and look at kind of where they are on draft boards and say, you know what, I'm coming back for my senior year. I'm getting paid well. I'm going to develop one more year and see what happens.
Yeah, and that's what some players have said is like, now that I'm getting paid,
Yeah.
I'm okay with staying one more year
For sure.
Now, obviously, if you're a first round pick,
Oh,
it changes a little bit more.
go,
But
yeah.
but once you
Get
start
that
getting
money.
into like that third, fourth round, and your money starts dipping, then
Yeah.
for sure, like it benefits you to at least stay for another year and try to move up that board. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, man. And just keep going. Both of our military schools, Army and Navy, both
Crazy.
keep winning, dude.
Yep.
Taking care of business. Illinois takes care of Michigan, low scoring affair. Illinois, like those Brett Bielema teams, like they're those teams that like they're not going to score a ton of points, but they're gonna grind you out. They're gonna play good defense, and then
And Michigan's offense is still what Michigan's offense is.
Michigan still can't throw for 100 yards in a game, which is mind blowing.
I think
to me,
did
dude.
they?
I don't think he did.
Did he not? Jesus.
Let me. It was close at one point. Oh, he did, man. He actually threw for 208 yards. Wow, I actually did not realize that.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought he got. I thought
at one point he was at like 80 yards or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, golly. But
Going back to Navy though, Navy plays Notre Dame next week. So
that's a big one.
Yeah, that's going to be like one of the
For both sides.
both. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If Notre Dame loses, they're not making the playoff. But I mean, Navy needs to win to kind of keep this rolling.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
To
Yeah.
get that last
Just to keep
spot.
moving up. Yeah, and just get that fifth conference spot because
Yeah.
the other team that keeps winning is Boise State.
Yeah.
They were on bye this week, but they keep winning, and so it's going to kind of be a race between those. It's going to be like either Mountain West or Atlantic. What is it? Yeah, American Athletic. There you go, AAC. Yeah, man, and then one of the big upset. Well, not big upsets, but one of the big wins. Tennessee beating Alabama.
Dude, we watched that game. Were you there for the end of it?
Yeah,
Yeah, you watched it with us, but man, Milroe looked awful.
Yeah,
I mean, God, Nico. I'm just gonna call him Nico. I said that at the beginning of the season. Nico missed like. If Nico connects with some of those deep balls, Tennessee wins by 2 to 3 scores.
Oh, for sure.
Like he literally missed wide open deep balls, and again that just shows kind of that freshman bright lights, like just a little bit too inexperienced for the moment. Like you know what I mean?
Because he's
like,
a freshman, right?
He's a true freshman.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And supposedly he's getting paid like $8 million to be. He got paid like $8 million. To
I
go to
do
Tennessee.
remember hearing about that. That is wild, dude.
But yeah, it's you can tell the lights were a little too bright for him whenever he was put under pressure a little bit, and man, if he just hits those deep balls, at least hit one of them, and it's a different ball.
Oh, and that's the big difference with the defense for Alabama, like compared to like lately or like recent years, is that dude like you said, Tennessee had guys open pretty much all night long.
Yeah.
And it's just making those throws, and they just didn't make it the throws. He didn't make the throws. Obviously, he made a big one at the end.
Yeah.
That go-ahead touchdown, that was huge. But yeah, man. But, I mean, I think the future's pretty bright for Tennessee, though. Like, true freshman. Like,
absolutely.
being able to make those big plays. Yeah, he's missing big plays, but he's also making big plays. And so.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is Alabama's front seven. I mean, Tennessee, when they wanted to, they were getting 6-7 yards a clip on the ground.
Yep.
They kept going to the pass. They kept letting Nico just rip it. But if they wanted to, they could have controlled that game and just grounded and pounded Bama if they wanted to.
Oh, for sure. So, but then going back to Milroe too, dude. Like he just, man, he's a running quarterback, and dude, he's just not been impressive at all this year, and just. People want to keep hyping that dude up, and I think it was you said or Aaron said it. Like, they win that game. Like he's probably up there, like back in the Heisman race. Like, dude, like
I think Ryan Williams was targeted like 15 times and had 6 receptions. Like the amount of times that the ball was like at his feet, behind him.
Yeah, dude.
Like, and he would still like in some of those catches that he did have, like he had to go up and make a play. Which I mean, yeah, Milroe's just. I don't know. He's just not it. At any given moment on the field, he's probably the best athlete on the field at any given time.
for sure.
But as a quarterback, like throwing the ball downfield, he's not very accurate.
Yeah, it's the on the run plays.
And how much is that going to pan out at the next level? I don't think very much.
Oh, yeah.
He'd probably be a great fit for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Unless they take Shadur Sanders,
They might.
Whatever.
They
dude,
might.
But
Just take a flyer.
he kind of reminds me of like a Lamar Jackson though. Like,
I mean, yeah, I guess that would be that's a good comp. I think Lamar's a little more dynamic.
yeah, and I think he's a better passer. Well,
for sure.
he's definitely developed more throughout his career.
Yeah, and that's not to
And-
say Milroe can't.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it's just not.
Yeah, you just wonder where his draft stock is, like who's kind of really looking at him right now.
If I was a fan of an NFL franchise, like if I cared about the NFL, I would not want my team to draft him.
No, I don't think it's sustainable because like one of the biggest things is like you need to be able to move in the NFL, but you also got to be able to make throws. Like,
Yeah,
and when you can't do that, that's when you get yourself in trouble in a hurry. So
for sure.
But yeah, so Tennessee takes that one, and dude, like the security would not let them take the goalpost out. Did you see that?
I saw that.
They
said not today.
They were ready to go marching down again, so that was
Not today.
That was funny, man. But,
Yeah, that was great.
oh, Aggie, they were in a dogfight with Mississippi State over the weekend, dude. I know I told y'all earlier too, but that's turned out to be a pretty good rivalry with Mississippi State, dude. So A&M is 6-5 over their 11 meetings since joining the SEC.
Dude, that's a crazy statistic.
Yeah,
because A&M has had some great recruiting classes. I mean, they had the Johnny Manziel days. That's crazy.
yeah.
I did not
6 and
think it
5.
was 5-5 going into the game yesterday.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of crazy.
That's nutty. That's very very nutty.
So, but A&M, sticking around.
Another,
and they stayed at 14 this week.
yeah.
So they're staying in the race. I mean, they're still, by no means. I mean, if things keep going their way, but they still got some big games coming up too.
I mean, yeah, it's this weekend, the battle of the undefeated SEC teams, A&M and LSU. It's going to be. I mean, the winner of that game. I mean, they're kind of in cruise control. They have a huge advantage up at the top
with the controlling your own destiny type of deal.
Oh, absolutely,
for sure. So,
but
speaking of LSU, dude, going into Fayetteville over the weekend and just. I know you were a little nervous about it just because that's a rivalry game.
Well, it's a rival. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say it's just kind of one of those where weird things happen in that series. It seems like so.
The big thing with LSU and Arkansas, they're usually close games because a lot of times we play Arkansas after a big win, like the Ole Miss game.
Yep.
People call it a rivalry, but I think it's more of a Arkansas cares about that game more than LSU cares about that game.
For sure.
And that's a big thing. And so whenever one team is going in there and is like, you know what, this is our big game of the year. We want to beat LSU. And one team's like, we care more about Bama, Ole Miss, Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so a lot of times that's the case. But I mean, there was a statistic, LSU's given up 1 touchdown in the last 6 quarters of football.
Really?
Yeah, 1 touchdown. It was against Arkansas. LSU's defense and that includes a high-flying, high-powered Ole Miss team because Ole Miss didn't score a touchdown in the whole second half of that game.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't even think about that.
In overtime either.
Man,
they kicked a field goal.
Yeah, wow.
And so LSU's defense has been playing very, very well.
Yeah, and I know we were just talking about that before the podcast, but yeah, LSU has been playing since that USC loss. They've just been progressively playing better just every single week, it seems like. So
they did have a little bit of a shake-up against South Carolina, right? South Carolina jumped up to that 17-0 lead.
Yeah.
But then they kind of buckled down. It was an 11 a.m. early kickoff. LSU just was not mentally ready
college
for that.
Game day, there was a lot of stuff where
but
it just sets up for a crazy game.
Yeah, and you could just tell they were bringing it to LSU at the beginning, and LSU was not ready for that.
For sure, yeah, it was just a lot of hype. So
but another SEC game, which man was OU not like people talk about. Oh, Texas and OU are not ready for the SEC. Like all these people are saying that. OU's really not ready for the SEC.
Dude, OU.
They got curb stomped by South Carolina.
Dude, OU would probably not be ready for the Big 12 this year.
I mean,
they're in bad shape.
Agreed.
Dude.
They do not look good at all.
I said it the other day. It reminds me of the 2013, 2014 Texas, where it's they keep rolling in different quarterbacks, just hoping something will stick. And yeah, man, they're in trouble.
They have one more win on their schedule. That's Maine.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Because I mean, they're not beating Ole Miss.
no.
They're not beating Mizzou.
So what-
They might. Mizzou might be a close game.
Yeah.
Mizzou honestly might be. They're not beating Bama, and they're not. I don't think they're beating at LSU for the last game of the season.
No. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Like that's brutal.
Yeah, and just like, and again, like kind of going back to the conversation we had before where you force a Heisman candidate quarterback out because your 5-star threatens to leave, and then you put the guy in, then you bench him after 4 games. And then I didn't even realize until you told me yesterday about the fact that they were going to like try to keep his red shirt, and then they burned it yesterday. Like
burned
that, that was wild to me, dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't, so I don't understand like the whole reasoning behind it. I guess like you're just like, hey, we need some sort of spark, but like Hawkins is like the poor man's Jalen Milroe.
Dude.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's a straight runner, and like he doesn't even run the ball well. And
That
and so-
program's in shambles, dude.
yeah, because I mean, and like I mean, no, I know Aaron said it like in the other day. It was just like, why not at least like at this point just give Casey Thompson a chance? Like, dude, like
Yeah.
I mean, like what do you have to lose at this point? Because like you said, I mean, their schedule's still brutal the rest of the way. I know we've been saying that since the beginning of the year that they had an absolutely brutal SEC schedule already.
Just in general, yeah.
And now you have no answer at quarterback currently. Like, man.
Like and you at the beginning of the season you chalk games like South Carolina up as a win, like just based on previous previous years. You know, you chalk that up as a win. You know, I don't think you chalk Tennessee. They lost to Tennessee. I don't think you can chalk that one up to as a win. But giving up 35 at home to South Carolina and not scoring a touchdown,
yeah, 3 field goals. Yeah,
Like,
that's rough, man.
not looking good for them going forward for sure.
They are 4-3, so yeah, so that puts them at 5-7 at the
Yeah,
end of the year.
I mean,
like
they're
puts
not
them
making
out
a
of a
bowl.
bowl game. So, and you just signed Venables that huge contract extension
Yeah,
too.
I
like,
think his buyou's like $44 million or something.
which I mean, like one thing we have talked about is like their defense is still good. Like Venable, but that kind of goes back to there's a lot of times where coaches they're great coordinators, but that doesn't always translate to being a great head coach.
I mean, again, I'm not a big NFL guy. The podcast that I listen to out of Baton Rouge covers the Saints a little bit. Dennis Allen was supposedly a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
The Saints have like the worst defense in the NFL,
yeah, like it
like
does,
legitimately.
but because he's not calling the defense now.
Yeah,
So like that's kind of one thing. And I don't think Venables is calling the defense, but he probably at least understands it. Which again, like college NFL, it's a little different. But
yeah.
but yeah, man. But you see that a lot of times, like Dan Quinn, whenever like he became the head coach of the Falcons, like he had a few good years and they fell off, but he was a great defense coordinator for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But you just see that a lot of times that like they translate in and then it just doesn't work out. So I don't know. I don't know like kind of what the leash for him is
With
to where
44 mil?
with 44 mil, which
Because
obviously
they don't have Aggie money.
yeah, no, for
They
sure.
have a lot of money. They don't have Aggie or UT money.
Yeah, I don't think they have that kind of buyout money where in Norman, Oklahoma, where you can just
Yeah.
just send people off like that. So yeah, definitely a tough decision to make. Yeah, dude, and then we're gonna roll with the Big 12. We'll come back to the SEC in a minute, but Iowa State, dude, that was another one. Like, dude snuck out at the very end.
And-
Had a drive in the last play. I think they scored 30 seconds left to go up against UCF.
And dude, if the guy with the pick six doesn't drop the ball at the 1 yard line before, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, they
Like,
show the highlight.
That's literally a game changing touchdown. Like that's UCF probably wins that game if he doesn't do that.
I thought they scored the next play though.
Did they?
I think they kept the ball and scored the next play.
I don't think they did.
No,
No.
Okay, I didn't.
I'm
see
pretty
how
sure it went out
played
for a touchback.
Really?
I'm pretty
okay.
positive.
I didn't see that. Yeah. So if that's the case, then
Yeah.
oh my gosh, dude. Like, yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Just
So-
not a good thing.
Yeah, but-
And that happens more often than like
Dude, it's the stupidest
I
thing
agree.
I've ever seen. Like, I remember seeing it for the first time. It was like 10, 12 years ago. I think it was a cornerback or receiver, somebody did it. And it's like, dude, like, and then it just keeps happening. Like,
Yeah.
at least get halfway in the end zone and then you can do whatever you want. But
yeah,
it's just wild to me, man. But they stay undefeated. So, yeah, so you got BYU undefeated, Iowa State undefeated, and then Kansas State, they took care of West Virginia. So they only got one loss now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like we talked about in the beginning, dude, like the Big 12 is still very much up for grabs.
Yeah.
Like,
And then Tech goes on the road or
Is at home.
It was at home against Baylor and
Gets destroyed.
gave up a 50 spot. You know, like
It's a Baylor, dude. Which Baylor's been another team like we talked about, like Dave
Yeah.
Aranda possibly not making it out of into next season. So
yeah, it's nuts.
crazy, man. But that's the Big 12, and then we'll roll back in the SEC. Obviously, the big game of the weekend, big game of the year, like that everybody's been
far.
looking forward to, was Texas and Georgia, and man, like Georgia, like just jumping out the gate, taking a 23-0 lead. Texas having absolutely no answer offensively the entire first half. I think they went into half with 18 yards on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, Ewers struggled big time, but dude, like I know we talked about it while we were watching yesterday, but dude, like that offensive line that everybody's been talking about the entire season, like dude, they just looked lost. Like it was wild.
They were getting blown off the ball. Like Georgia's defensive line were doing whatever they wanted. And yes, Quinn did not look comfortable in the pocket at all. Like that, there's no two ways about it. But it doesn't help whenever you have free edge rushers coming up and making plays. And I mean, corner blitzes at. I mean, that is on Quinn a little bit too. Is not reading that and seeing that. And I don't know. It's a tough situation. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to win football games. So whether that be Quinn or whether that be Arch, and that's the debate a lot of people are having. I mean, Arch went in for 2 drives, and same kind of thing happened. He did make a long run with his legs, which is good to see. That's another dynamic that he brings to the offense for sure. But whenever he had to sit back and make passes, I mean, he was putting it at a receiver's feet. He wasn't stepping into throws, and again, just getting happy feet. And that's another thing too is the corners for Georgia were blanketing the receivers. There was nobody open.
No, for sure.
Quinn had to check down so much because literally down the field there's nothing.
Yeah, and it does make you wonder, like, kind of like how good Texas receivers. I feel like it's partially play calling, partially route running. Like, because I mean, it's not even this. Like, I know with like, like talking in the group chat, like he checked down a lot in the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
Which possibly part of that is just like him just wanting to get the ball quick, taking what the defense is giving you. But also like Oklahoma's defense, like we said, is good.
Yeah.
So they're probably matching with those receivers, and they're not getting themselves open. And so I think it's more. Obviously, Ewers definitely did struggle. I'm not taking away from that at all. But I wonder also if there's a lot more to it as well.
Isaiah Bond being hurt doesn't help either. Like
No,
he
definitely.
didn't play. I don't think he played at all in the second half.
No.
He scored that touchdown in the 2-point conversion, and I'm pretty sure he was on the sidelines the rest of the game. And he definitely wasn't 100%. And I think he was questionable to even play in this game anyway.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And so him not being 100%, having your veteran trusted receiver running routes and getting open, I mean, it makes it tough whenever the next person you're throwing to is a true freshman. That Bolden guy.
Yeah,
is it Bolden or Golden? There's a Bolden and a Golden.
Golden is like the freshman.
Yeah.
Bolden's the punt returner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the one you put on your prize picks that 1 week. So
not anymore.
Speaking of canceled.
Yeah, definitely canceled. But no, it's a good argument to have, honestly. Like, and it's a good thing for Texas fans too to have those options, right? You have Arch's. I mean, the sample size isn't there, but I mean, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Like,
yeah,
I mean, everything is there. The talent's there. I mean, I'm pretty sure his mindset's there. He's grown up in a football family his entire life.
Oh, for sure.
Like his IQ is probably pretty freaking good, you know. Yeah. And so I don't doubt that he's going to be good. But going back to the whole BYU and experience, that matters a lot. Like it really does, especially in these big games. Like. And at the end of the day, you have to just sometimes get thrown into it and figure it out.
Yeah.
But you also want to win football games. Like there's a give and a take. You can't just be like, all right, dude, here's number 1 Georgia or number 5 Georgia. Like, let's go have at them.
Yeah, you ready?
You know, it makes it a tough situation for the kid.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And so, but at some point he's going to have to get his feet wet and do that. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and then whether that is this weekend against Vanderbilt or whether it's next season or whenever it is, I mean it's definitely a debate to be had right now because I mean, and I'm sure Texas fans are torn overall. I mean, obviously when you have the most popular backup quarterback in history,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's
making the most money.
yeah, it's hard to say like that people don't want him in there, but at the same time, Ewers has also shown that he's been able to make the big plays.
Yeah.
But I also do wonder though, like with the consistent injuries that Ewers has been going through, like that's got to be in his mind.
Absolutely.
Back there when he's throwing, like that's got to make you be quick to get rid of the ball, and that check down is always there, and so it definitely plays into your mindset, I'm sure, of like, hey, like I don't want to get hurt again.
But I mean, over the last, with his injury history and over the past 2 games, Quinn has not looked very good.
No.
His draft stock is tumbling.
Yeah, I mean,
he has another year of eligibility. If you're a Texas fan, are you like, dude, hit the road? Or are you going to do the whole Dylan Gabriel, Jackson Arnold thing and tell him to hit the road and just, Arch has obviously been there a few years.
Does he have another year still?
I believe he does.
I thought he was a senior this year. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure he does. I could be wrong.
I know it's his 3rd year at Texas.
Actually, you know what? He might have burned it at. No, I don't think he burned it at Ohio State.
No, because he didn't play at Ohio State.
Let me see.
But yeah, but I would be very surprised. Well, I guess I wouldn't be very surprised, but like, I just don't know, like, and I guess really like if he struggles, but if he gets benched too, like, there's no way he comes back.
He's a junior.
So he has the option.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know.
Because if at this rate he's not going round 1.
Yeah. But I'll be completely honest with you. Like, there's no way like Texas
takes another year.
There's no way that Texas tries to convince Arch to stake another year as backup. Like,
yeah,
there's zero chance of that.
Because that's the same thing too. Arch theoretically, if he has a great junior year, he's gone. You might only get 1 year of him in Texas.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no way. Like, so because like it was one thing with Jackson Arnold. Like he was a redshirt freshman, so. Theoretically, you can say, like, hey, just stick it out for another year. Let's let Gabriel have a senior year and try to make a push, especially first year in the SEC, and then you can take over next year. But, like, with this, like, this is already Arch's 2nd year behind.
Yeah.
If Ewers comes back or, like, decides he wants to come back to Texas, Arch,
you got to roll with Arch. I agree. You can't.
Because, I would even say Arch would probably just go ahead and transfer at that point. Like, he's not going to. He'll take a 2nd year, but there's no way he takes a 3rd.
No.
So, because he's going to want to start playing and start getting to where he wants to be. So
absolutely.
But
it's just an interesting conversation. I was just playing a little devil's advocate there. Like, obviously,
for sure.
Like, I think you roll with Arch too, especially with his injury history and everything as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's
and he
year.
definitely does have that other ability of being able to run the ball.
Yeah.
Like Kirby Smart even said that at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever they asked him how are you going to react, and he was like, no, he
gives another dynamic.
He gives another dynamic. He has to be able to run the ball. He's like, but we also still have to prepare for Quinn Ewers because he still has like the big arm strength and he can make those plays downfield.
Yeah.
So, which obviously he never did, but he does have that ability to do that. So
for sure,
that would be interesting though, man. Like if Ewers did like try to stick it out, like because it wouldn't be at Texas.
No.
So
he would transfer somewhere.
He would transfer, and I just wondered at that point, like, man, where would he go? Like
Duke. SMU.
Duke just gonna pick up all the former Texas dude. SMU actually would be kind of interesting.
Didn't SMU took Garrett Gilbert? Didn't they take?
They took Shane Buechele.
Yeah.
And then
I want to say they took another guy too.
Those two for sure.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
I think it was just those two. But yeah, man, that would be kind of funny though.
Yeah.
But he'd definitely sling it. But SMU's got a pretty good guy back there now. Jennings, because Preston Stone's supposed to be the guy, and then this dude ended up taking his spot. So that'd be interesting. But
absolutely,
but yeah, man. I still think. I think this was we talked about it. Like this was the first real test for Texas, like as far as playing against a great defense, and then honestly, one of the biggest question marks was their defense. Like, how's their defense going to hold up because they haven't played against a legit offense and. Their defense, I thought, held up really well.
Yeah.
Dude, like they the one thing that they showed is that 17 of Georgia's points they started at Texas 30 or closer.
Yeah.
So when you're given that short of a field consistently to a top team that's proved to be an elite team year after year, dude, like you're setting yourself up for failure every time.
And I'm still a big believer in Texas. Like, don't get me wrong. Like this this one game, like teams are allowed to have bad games. Like
Definitely.
they're still have everything in front of them. Their schedule's relatively favorable. Like they're still fine. They're going to be okay. I know a lot of people are doomsday in Texas after this and all this, but and obviously Aggie on the other side's like licking it up, But
Oh yeah.
I mean, things happen, man. Everybody's going to play it. Like no team, especially. I mean, even in the NFL, even professionals, like you're not going to play your best game every week. Like it's just not possible.
Yeah,
like
for
you're
sure.
you're allowed to have bad games. And the offensive line had a bad first half. I think they were better in the second half. I mean, that first drive that they came
definitely.
out, like they looked pretty good.
Yeah.
They were given plenty of time in the pocket. They were establishing a running game. Like it just happens. Like, and that's okay. They're still going to be fine.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if anything, like, even when I was a high school coach, like one of the biggest things that we always talked about, like if we had a loss like that, it was kind of like that humbling experience.
It's
like
an experience.
It kind of like tells you like, hey, like it kind of knocks you down a little bit. Like, hey, like we're not just way better than everybody.
Yeah.
Like you still have to play at the top level to beat the best teams.
Practice
So,
harder. Like
yeah. Like,
stay in the film room a little longer. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And this is a good spot for them to do that.
Yeah, and
especially against a decent Vandy team that we've come to find out. Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how they bounce back, especially on the road. Kind of how they do against Vanderbilt. I mean, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be good to see like how they bounce back after a loss like that.
And
so.
who the quarterback's going to be. That's going to
Yeah,
be going to be very
who's
interesting.
taking the snaps exactly. So a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like an absolutely great weekend overall. Just a lot of fun.
I mean, I love
and
seeing
just-
Bama lose too. That's
dude.
Great.
Anytime Bama loses,
Again, I projected 3 losses is still
that's
in play.
number 2. So
It's
yeah,
still
and
in play.
they still definitely have some tough games coming up. So, but yeah, man. So Notre Dame won, Miami won. I'm trying to see if there are any other big games, dude. One of the biggest, couple surprising ones is you talked about it yesterday. Dude, USC has been on a downward spiral.
Dude, I was actually about to kind of chime in when we were kind of talking about OU spiraling, but dude,
Yeah.
that team's spiraling bad too. I mean, in total opposite trajectories from that game against LSU for those two teams. Like
for sure.
USC was on the highest high after that game, and now they're tumbling down. LSU was at the lowest of lows, and now they're kind of upward climbing. But USC's been in a ton of close games. They're just not like the LSU game is the one that they pulled off.
Yeah.
We can talk. I don't want to dwell too much on week 1 or week 0 or whatever the heck it was, but I mean LSU had opportunities to win that game, number 1, and then like sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. I mean LSU had 3 forced fumbles, didn't recover any of the 3. Like
Right,
that's just kind of part of it, you know.
Right.
And their receivers went up and made unbelievable catches against LSU's DBs. They were in this position to make the play. Their receivers are just better, and that's sometimes you guys tip your cap.
For sure.
And that stuff happens. And so, but where they're at now, like losing to Maryland, losing to Minnesota,
Yeah.
Losing to Michigan, dude, like that's, I mean,
those are bad losses.
those are very bad losses. And so, yeah, it's not looking great for them in their first year in the Big Ten.
Because they're 3-4 now.
Yeah.
So they got Rutgers this week, Washington, Nebraska, UCLA, and Notre Dame. So they still got there's only one ranked matchup there, but that doesn't mean that they're easy games coming up. Like they still have some tough games that are ahead of them that they're gonna have to figure out. So, yeah, there's a chance that after everything they don't make a bowl game either. So
Yeah.
which kind of puts a big. I mean, I think that puts Lincoln Riley on the hot seat. I mean, all that money you're paying him and you're struggling. I mean, that's
Yeah, and I mean they have a lot of really big recruits coming in too, and so that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. That if there is a shakeup in the coaching staff to see kind of where those kids end up
for sure.
if they stick with USC or if they move elsewhere,
Yeah, man.
But now that we kind of covered a little bit of that, do you want to talk about some of your midseason regrets on some of our picks?
Well, I'll tell you, my biggest midseason regret is UCLA. I had them as the dark horse for the Big Ten, and I knew they lost Chip Kelly. and they lost some key pieces, and man, but I thought like they were still going to be like somewhat competitive this year, but man, like they are bad.
Yeah, well,
Having said that, they beat your dark horse.
Yeah,
Rutgers,
my dark horse
so-
Rutgers. I'm pretty sure that Montague or Montaguy, I think he's hurt.
Oh, okay.
I think he ended up getting hurt, and so
Yeah, that makes a
obviously
difference for sure.
It does partially, but I mean they started off pretty hot. But yeah, they've kind of tumbled in recent weeks. Obviously, they lost to Nebraska the week
Yeah.
before, and then losing to UCLA. That's not a good look.
Yeah, because that was UCLA's second win of the year. So.
Not a great look at all. So yeah, that's definitely one of my regrets. Another one that's not looking that great either is my West Virginia pick for a dark horse in the Big 12. They're not shaking out to be too good. And they played some close games, right? They played Pitt close, which again, Pitt is Pitt's. I think they're undefeated.
Pitt's undefeated. Yeah, they're playing really well.
Yeah,
actually.
Pitt's playing pretty good. Obviously a big rivalry game with Pitt, West Virginia, but yeah, that's kind of one of mine. But everything else, I'm pretty still solid on. Right, I still think Texas wins the SEC. I know you had Georgia.
No, we both picked Texas.
Oh, you did pick Texas. Okay, cool. I obviously okay. Now that I'm looking at the statistic or the graphic.
Oh, you're Big 12 champion.
Big 12 champion.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State is god awful.
Yeah.
But everything else seems to be okay. Your ACC SMU, that looks really good. I mean, Syracuse only has one loss as well, so
yeah, Syracuse is still up there to possibly still get into at the end of it all. So, yeah, and then we still have the Clemson Miami game coming up that's going to determine the ACC champion. Oregon beating Ohio State, but I mean, there's still a lot that can be played out in the Big Ten. And then like I picked Missouri as my dark horse of the SEC. Like they've struggled, and then obviously I picked Utah, but when they lose Cam Rising, I mean that kind of hurt them
because I think they lost this week too.
I don't think they played this week.
Yeah, they did.
Did they? Did they lose?
If they didn't lose, they were in a barn burner.
Oh, dude, they lost to TCU.
Yeah, it was. And I know it was a close game for a while.
Oh my gosh, dude, TCU was bad.
Yeah, it was not good.
But Cam Rising being out, that was the biggest thing. Like, because that was what I based it all off of. That Cam Rising was going to come back and have a good year,
12th year.
Yeah, and then then he ends up struggling, and so yeah, man, like that's tough. But I will say my dark horse, the Big 12, though, Iowa State,
dude, that's
up at the top right now.
Pick,
so
for sure.
Oh,
and again, I had Ole Miss in the SEC, and obviously LSU beat them, and then they lost to Kentucky. I picked them based on their strength of schedule. Their schedule was pretty favorable. Obviously, if they don't lose to Kentucky and just haven't lost to LSU, that looks a lot better. But,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, everything else is kind of.
I will say though, I would have never picked Indiana, Illinois. Like I would have never picked one of them because honestly, like my backup Big Ten was Nebraska, which they've played okay. But they just haven't been able to win, some of the bigger games like this, and then they get rolled this week. So kind of shows you that a lot of things can still shake out. Which it's year 3 for Matt or year 2 for Matt Rule. Year 2 or 3? I think it's year 2.
Not sure.
So I think next year, and then Dylan Raiola being better next year, I think is going to make a difference as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But that's I mean, I think overall, we're doing pretty good. Like,
yeah, especially our our champions are great. All of those are pretty much still in the running, other than the Big 12. And I mean, we all knew that was a crapshoot to begin with.
Oh yeah, like we said from the beginning that it was going to be a gauntlet. So,
and did we touch at all on Ohio State last week, or I think we talked about it yesterday? But Ohio State's schedule coming up, man, that's unenviable because I believe they have Penn State next week.
At home.
I mean, it is at home, but they have Penn State. They obviously have the big game.
Well, they got Nebraska at home.
Nebraska.
Yeah, they got Nebraska, and then I believe it's Penn State after that. Yeah, Nebraska, Penn State. Then they got Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana right before the Michigan game.
Yeah, and shoot, Indiana could be undefeated at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they're not guaranteed to go out with just one loss. You know what I mean? Like there's some potential slip ups there for Ohio State. Losing that game to Oregon could have a big effect, I think. So again, it remains to be seen.
One question I will ask you, like I know we kind of talk about the rankings and like how like they really don't matter. But dude, like, would you really consider, and again, like this is kind of my biggest thing, is like Penn State has not lost. Have they looked dominant? Not necessarily, but they still have not lost. They're playing the Big Ten. And the Big Ten is still considered one of the better conferences. You know, Miami 7-0, finding a way to win. Like, I don't know, and like in my opinion, like I feel like, I mean, I get why Georgia jumps Ohio State. Obviously, then you jump Texas, but like, I mean, in my opinion, it feels like Penn State should at least be number 2, and then you put Georgia at 3. But
Yeah, and I think so. So the AP poll, the way it works is like every single team, like all 132 teams across the country, have an AP, like an Associated Press media like voter,
Right.
and so they compile all of those 132 polls, and they compile this list. So you're literally getting like votes from literally every single school. So like a lot of those people, they're not sitting there watching every game. Like they're watching the big games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not watching Penn State versus Illinois.
Right.
You know, they're watching Ohio State, Oregon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they're basing it off of that. Like I saw one of the voters. I think it was the UT AP poll guy. After LSU beat Ole Miss, they put LSU at like 21.
What?
Yeah, like legitimately, like it was the UT writer, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I know LSU is not like, it's probably not a top 5 team, but 21, that's
Yeah,
that's
that's
like
wild.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so same thing with like some of these writers with like rival teams. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're gonna put those teams like just because it's Aggie. You know,
Right.
they're not gonna put Aggie.
They're not
up
gonna put
high.
them high,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
so there's bias in it, and so that plays a part into it too. But after beating Ole Miss, I mean, like, come on, man.
Yeah,
I
mean,
saw that. And I was like, are you like how do you have a vote?
I know 21. That's
Yeah.
hilarious, dude.
I saw that like because there's a good graphic that kind of breaks down kind of where everybody voted, like 5, 10, 15, 20, and like LSU was like kind of in that 15 to 10 range, and even up a little bit higher between 5 and 10 for most of the people. And then you just see an LSU name all the way at the end. I'm like, who did that?
Yeah, dude.
And I go all the way across into the UT voter. I'm like, that's crazy.
That's kind of funny, but
Yeah. So
yeah,
and
I was just
again,
curious because yeah, because like I said, I mean, like, and again, like these polls mean absolutely
and that was
zero,
what I was
like-
gonna say is like, even though we put him at 21, it does not matter. It's literally some nerd writing newspaper articles up in a suite in downtown Austin. Like
Yeah.
that person's like opinion does not matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially at this point of the season. I mean, I guess we are kind of getting into the nitty gritty. So, I mean, his opinion doesn't matter, but the polls are going to start mattering soon once the first college football playoff ranking stuff comes out.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that date is. If I remember correctly, I think it's like the first week in November.
It's like the first or second week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was looking at it, so I think it's like the 12th is what it's.
God, so that's after LSU Bama.
Yeah, so that's when the first football or the playoff poll comes out. So
And things will be shaken up by then. Again, there's going to be big games between then and now.
yeah, I wonder like how many undefeated teams are still going to be because there's still some big matchups coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how many you're going to be. I don't think there's going to be a single undefeated team this year. To be honest,
The only one I could see being undefeated going in would be a Miami or an Iowa, like the Big 12. Like that's the only one I could see potentially.
I mean-
because like Iowa State doesn't play BYU or vice versa.
but they're going to have to play in the championship game.
But then they'll play in the championship game. But that's what I mean. So that they're both undefeated going in.
Yeah.
Like whoever wins that's going to be
that's
undefeated.
true. That's true.
And then like Oregon, like they still have some big games coming up. So
Do they?
yeah, I think
I thought it was pretty favorable going down the stretch.
so they have Illinois coming up this week.
Yeah.
which is a
They're
big
21.5-point favorites.
Yeah, but that's pretty. Yeah, but yeah. So you're right. So that's pretty much it. Because yeah, then it's Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington. So.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah, so
then-
if they win this week, then they're pretty much like a shoe in.
But then they're going to have to play someone good for the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, then you're playing either Ohio
State.
State or Penn State, depending on who
Or
wins that
Indiana.
game. Or Indiana. Yeah. Well, that's the thing because like Ohio State plays Penn State, so whoever wins that's going to be undefeated. So if Penn State wins that one, like that pretty much puts them in a good position to be like the undefeated team going in. And then Penn State, yeah, because they don't play another ranked team after that.
Yeah.
and then yeah, Indiana playing Ohio State. So and then
I mean, I was talking to a group of guys at a baby shower earlier today, just kind of chatting up a little bit about football and stuff. But I mean, Indiana being in the mix is going to could throw a bunch of wrenches into the playoff
for
ranking.
sure.
Like them being undefeated right now, like obviously that's good for the sport that they're undefeated, like parity, like we talk about, right? But like that makes the Big Ten possibly getting an extra because the SEC's beating themselves up right now.
Yeah, exactly.
The SEC is literally beating themselves up. I mean, after this weekend, there's going to be one undefeated SEC team left in conference play.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you would have never thought that. Like,
And there's no completely undefeated SEC team anymore.
no, that's crazy to
Like
think.
everybody's had at least
Everybody
one
has
loss.
at least one loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. So, yeah, man. Like, and yeah, the biggest thing again, it comes down to this weekend too. That LSU, A&M, like both of their losses are just the first week,
Yeah.
and they've both been playing well since then. So, yeah, that's gonna make a huge difference in how everything shakes out this weekend.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but yeah, so still, or what'd you say? We're halfway through the season now, so still
Yep.
a lot to be seen, but it's all coming down. So, you ready to go into our games?
Yeah, let's make our picks.
All right, let's roll in. Let me pull them up real quick. All right, so our first game is so this week. Just leading off this week, not a lot of. It's not been like the last 2 weeks,
No.
where it's just been a lot of like big time matchups. But 3 weeks ago we said it was a nightmare, and then it ended up being actually a really good weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of see. So we'll lead off. So we'll start with Boise State, our 3-point favorites going to UNLV.
Yeah, and UNLV, I mean, they've been a big surprise. Obviously, the big storyline for them over the course of the season was their quarterback, kind of what happened with that, where he took that red shirt, and I feel like a lot of people and a lot of other players started kind of following suit. But I'm going to roll with Boise State and that Genty guy. I mean, I'm sure he runs for 200 yards again, and
Yeah, dude.
Boise State does what they have to do. But they are going to Las Vegas, which I doubt it's that big of a hostile environment, but they do have to go on the road. So I'm going to roll with Boise State, but I mean, I think Vegas has it at a 3-point game for a reason.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely going to be super competitive. Like UNLV, I will say with UNLV, like I actually felt like they got better when they switched quarterbacks,
Yeah.
honestly, because the other quarterback, he didn't throw the ball well. He ran decent, but he wasn't a big thrower. And whenever they shifted over to this guy from the red shirt, like they've actually been playing a lot better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think 3 points is about right. But yeah, I think Boise State. I think just because of Genty, like if anybody could find a way to slow that dude down, like he has more rushing yards than the quarterback has passing yards this year.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, and so if they could figure out a way to slow him down, then I think they definitely have a shot. But
for sure.
I don't think they do. So
No.
yeah, I think so. I think Boise State takes that one.
Next game, we're going undefeated. BYU is going to Central Florida. They're 2-point favorites on the road. Obviously, UCF. They were kind of in the close game this week against Iowa State, where they almost upset Iowa State. Which I feel like UCF's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. KJ Jefferson benched, like he's not even the starter there anymore,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. But UCF finding a way to kind of turn things around a little bit. Obviously, they didn't get the win, but they played Iowa State very close. But again, older, more veteran, experienced BYU team. I think they go into Orlando and get the win.
Yeah, man, I think it's actually going to be pretty tough just because, like you said, UCF's been playing better and BYU's just been so inconsistent. Like sneaking out against Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago, sneaking out against Baylor, which maybe Baylor's better than what like we think,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like we talk about like just them all beating each other up. But then
I mean, Baylor should have beat Colorado. I mean, I'm not saying Colorado's a world beater, but
yeah.
Baylor might be better than we thought.
Yeah, and they might be, but then also go back to where BYU just rolls Kansas State, who was like
Yeah.
the favorite at one point to win the Big 12. So,
Absolutely.
So I think BYU does win it. I think UCF still has a lot of just question marks, just as far as how they're going to be able to win games. Because I mean, the week before they lost to Cincinnati, who's like the bottom half of the Big 12.
Yeah.
So, and then I mean they haven't won since September 14th.
Yeah.
So, and that was again, and they beat TCU by 1 point, which I just said TCU's not that great. So,
Yeah.
so I think BYU, I mean, I think it will be a close game just because UCF is playing, they'll be playing up at home against a big ranked team, but I think BYU is still too much. So I think they'll end up winning that one. So, and then going back to your dark horse for the ACC, we have Syracuse that they are 2.5 point favorites at Pitt.
Yeah, 5.5.
Oh, 5.5. I'm it.
Yeah, it's 5.5. And Pitt's, as we mentioned earlier, undefeated. Pitt's been playing very good, and Pitt's kind of one of those teams too. I'm pretty sure they're an older, more veteran team. Syracuse only with the one loss on the season still too. I want to roll with my dark horse, but if I'm trying to win this thing, I'm going to go Pitt. Them being at home is a big factor in that. And so, yeah, I'm going to roll with the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Man, I'm looking at Pitt's schedule. Like, they're not impressive to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Syracuse, like they've kind of struggled too.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, just so I can break the ice here, I'm gonna take Syracuse, dude. Like,
So it should have been opposite with my dark horse, but
yeah. But dude, like Syracuse, like, they beat NC State, which like NC State's been inconsistent. They did beat UNLV, which we just talked about. We're playing a
that's
little bit
their one
better.
loss, yeah.
They beat Georgia Tech earlier in the year, which Georgia Tech's been playing pretty well. So, I mean, I think
That was when they were healthy. That's when they still had the Aggie, Georgia Tech.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Cam Haynes, or was it Haynes King?
Haynes
there
King,
you go.
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, but I think Kyle McCord, I think he's been playing well, and I think Syracuse is playing pretty well right now. So I'll take Syracuse on the road.
Yeah.
I think they'll take that one against Pitt. Just got to think, Pitt's ranked, but I don't think that they're as high. I don't know if they're fully deserving of the 19 ranking yet. So, but I think it's gonna be a good game for sure.
Yeah, I think being undefeated in a Power Four, that's why they're ranked.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. I mean, if they weren't in a Power Four with that strength of schedule, yeah. Big time SEC matchup here. Auburn is going to Kentucky. Kentucky are 2.5 point favorites.
God, dude.
Yeah, barn burner here. This is probably going to be a great football game to watch.
Yeah.
Great on the eyes.
It's going to be a great defensive struggle. This could be like one of those games where the final score is like 10-7 or something.
I could see it.
Just because like both offenses are so bad and like both defenses are good enough to where they can stop them. Oh, man, I don't even know. Like, I'm just looking at Auburn's schedule. Like, they should have beat Auburn. They should beat Missouri. Then Brady Cook comes back, get that one. They held with Georgia for a while. And then Kentucky, they hung with Georgia too. They got rolled by Florida. I'm gonna take Auburn. I think Auburn's gonna go on the road. I think they're gonna figure out a way to go into Kentucky and win this game.
Yeah, you took my pick. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Auburn as well. Auburn's been in a bunch of close games. Like, they're keeping it close, and the biggest thing is they've been turning the ball over so much. Like, if they don't turn the ball over as much as they do, they win multiple of those close games. Like, their turnover ratio is honestly laughable.
That's
Like,
crazy.
what's the dude from the freaking Titans, Levis?
Oh, Will Levis, yeah.
It's Auburn's turnover and like some of the picks and fumbles that they've had are laughable like that.
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
it's been kind of crazy. So if they can somehow figure out a way to clean that up, I mean, I think they win this football game, but that's a big if. But yeah, I'm going Auburn. Just talent wise across the roster, they're more talented.
Yeah, but it's definitely going to be a very low scoring affair, I believe.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too.
And then obviously our big game of the weekend, kind of what we've been leading up to throughout the pod, is LSU going on the road to face Texas A&M in College Station.
Yeah,
A&M is 3-point favorites.
Yeah, and that's a home field favorite. I think it's a toss up if it was on a neutral site.
Yeah.
Did they announce where game day's going? I mean, I don't think they're going to go to A&M because they've already been there this year.
Yeah, they're saving it for the last game of the season still, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure, because that would make it in College Station 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Because they were there for Notre Dame, having it there for LSU, and then I mean you have to go there for the
Texas game.
Texas
Absolutely.
A&M game. Like you have to go.
They're going. Oh my gosh, dude! They're going to Indiana. It's Indiana and Washington.
Yeah. Again, you can't go to College Station 3 times in a season. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's just one of those things. But it's definitely the game of the week. It's a 6:30 kickoff on ABC. You know where I'm going. I'm rolling LSU. I can't pick against them. I mean, I can if I want to win, but I do want to win, and I think they do win the football game. I think one of the big key takeaways is if LSU's defense continues to play like they have, I mean, I could see it kind of being a carbon copy of the Arkansas game.
Yeah.
Because again, Texas A&M's offense is hit or miss, just like Arkansas's offense is. I mean, I think A&M and Arkansas played to a 21-17 game, and I don't think Texas A&M has faced an offense like LSU's, where they can throw the ball around. And if LSU can continue to establish the run like they did against Arkansas with Caden Durham, like watch out. Like they're going to be a very, very tough out for anybody. Obviously, that's a big if. Again, their last 6 quarters, they've given up 1 touchdown. If they continue kind of along that progression, I mean, I think they roll. I mean, 34-10, 34-17 kind of thing. If their defense can kind of continue that, because I think LSU still puts up points.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. Is that like that was one of the impressive things was that Durham was able to run the ball, because I think you even said it yesterday that they haven't run the ball well.
No.
The last several weeks. So going in against an Arkansas team, which we talked about, is usually that's usually one of their big things is like that run defense.
Their front seven, their secondary is suspect.
Yeah.
Arkansas's is, which obviously they proved that, but they were able to establish a run, which is crazy.
For sure. So I guess we're gonna be 4 out of 5 same picks, because I mean I think LSU takes care of business. Like we talked about right before the pod. Like I don't think A&M's faced anybody up to the level of LSU. I mean, offensively, I mean Notre Dame does not have the same offense as LSU does.
No.
But defensively, like that was like I think this is probably even the best defense, or one of the best defenses that A&M's faced. But it's also one of the best defenses that I'll say LSU has faced as well. So
I mean,
I do think A&M's defense is still pretty good.
I think Texas A&M's defense is very good.
Yeah.
But I think Ole Miss's front seven is just as good, if not better, than Texas A&M's.
Yeah, for sure. So I do think it'll be. I don't know if it'll be a blowout type of win. I mean, I think it'll be a pretty close game. But I do think LSU will be able to go in and take care of business. The one thing I think it's going to be probably an evening game. I don't even think that they've announced the game time yet.
6:30.
Is it 6:30?
6:30 on ABC.
So I think that'll play into it, just because like the Aggies get hyped for the night game or whatever. But I think it will be a good game. But I think LSU's going to end up winning it. So we're gonna have one pick to turn differentiating us this week, dude.
That could be the one pick that gets me ahead, like of you.
Get you back into it.
Yeah, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people on A&M, honestly.
For sure.
Especially the.
Well, a lot of our followers are A&M guys. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that's fair. I mean, yeah, they're both undefeated in conference play.
Yeah, I mean, like
granted, LSU's conference schedule has been more difficult than.
Yeah, they've navigated pretty well. So
yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think Wegman did okay against Mississippi State, but it also kind of seemed like they just looked like they didn't have, and it also is a look ahead game. So I mean, like you also kind of have to look at that as well.
Yeah.
But I think that just based on what I saw in that game, but I mean, of course, Mississippi State's also kind of held in with some of the top teams as well. Like they hung with Georgia for a while, hung with Texas for a while. So
yeah,
they're really good at hanging in there. But so we'll see, man. But I think it's going to be a good slate. Obviously it's not going to be at the level it's been the last couple of weeks, but I mean I think it should still be some pretty good games to watch this weekend.
Yeah,
so
I agree. But, and hopefully we're pleasantly surprised, just like a few weekends ago where we thought going in we're like this is nothing.
Oh, for sure.
But for all the Texas fans out there, whenever we went into that weekend, we're like, oh, Vandy's playing Bama. Guess who Vandy has this week?
Yep. there you go.
So,
So
man, watch out.
might be playing out for another big upset weekend.
Dude,
so.
that goalpost might be taking a second dip in the river.
Oh, dude, like it's 100%. If they beat Texas, that thing.
Imagine they do it twice.
Oh
in
my
a season,
gosh,
dude.
They might carry that thing to Austin if they freaking
God.
beat Texas. Like,
Yeah,
that'd be crazy, man. But yeah, but that's all I got, dude.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, good episode. Good weekend of football. Good weekend of everything except, I mean, Premier League. Arsenal lost, but we won't even touch on that.
Yeah, we'll worry about that later. So
Yeah.
a lot of injuries. So
It's been tough.
yeah, but anyway, but we appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate the support. Appreciate you following. We're slowly picking up our following on social media. I'm gonna work better to get more videos posted, stuff like that. But follow us on all our social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Like we're on it all. We don't post too much, but we do try to post as we go. So just keep following us. Keep listening, keep sharing all that good stuff, and just tell your friends, tell a friend, and keep sending your pics. That's the big thing.
Yep.
So whenever you miss out on a week, it's just a week that you're missing out on the opportunity to get your little prize at the end of the year. So
We need to hire a social media manager.
yeah, well, I keep asking Aaron, dude, but he won't do it. Like he keeps telling us what we need to do, but he tell me he just needs to do it. So
That's true.
maybe one of these days, talking to you, Aaron. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so until next week, it's been fun.
See ya.